Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Robyn
And
Rice.
I'm Gil. Oh, and I cut you off. How's that?
I know. I thought I'd shake it up, so I'm my full self today. Robyn Rice Olmsted, and this is Gil Olmsted, and we are Rockin the Love. So we're so glad you're here to join us. I know you're probably very excited about our guest today. Hi, Shay. Good to see you. Good to have you back. We missed you last week. And we're looking forward to our guest, who is Charles Holt. And we'll tell you a little bit more about him in a little bit. But we just want to welcome you all. So if you have a chance, put in your information where you're streaming in from and let us know so we can properly say bienvenidos. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And hi, Myrna. Good to see you. And I hope you're feeling better. She was a little under the weather, so let's all send Myrna lots of love and prayers. And yeah, that's it. So if you're here for the first time, we'll just let you know a little bit about our show. Our show is fantastic. I'm being very, very modest. No, our show is about us and everything in our lives, which is everything. So we are a married couple and we live in two different parts of the world, it seems, two different parts of the United States. I am in California, Southern California.
And I am in New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
Yep.
And we are rocking the love a little bit apart. And so we're just talking about all kinds of relationships and our relationship to it and having a good time. So we're glad you joined us. So, how are you, Gil?
I'm okay. I had a really rough week, but I'm okay. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
say more about that?
This being in relationship far apart, I realize takes a little bit of a toll. And it's got a lot to do with just not having the same support present in the room, if you will. And we've been doing this now for a year and a half, going on 2, that we've been living in separate places. So, and I think we had more times where we were crossing over at the beginning, and due to changes in circumstances, we're not doing that quite as much. So anyway, so while there's so many exciting things going on, I had to deal with that. And so there you go. You know, we all have to go through it, whatever it is that we need to address and look at. And I think we forget how much we have people out there. So I want to have a shout out to my people and say thank you, all of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Great to hear.
And I rode 8 miles on my bike. So I'm already getting better. See? Yeah. All right.
And Shay is asking, why do you two live apart anyways? That would suck.
It was great at first. No, I'm kidding.
Really? Say more about that. No, I'm just kidding. We live apart because Gil has got a job there and we have family commitments with our sister and our godkids. And so the decision was we'd become multi, what do you call it?
Multi-state, multi-residence family.
Multi-residence family, yeah. And, I don't think we're really seeing each other less. I think what happens is that the holidays get involved and that makes, things get jumbled up and then it gets out of balance. But we're back on track. We're going to be back on track if we can ever sit down and do our schedules. Okay, welcome, Reverend Sherry Greer. I am happy to see you. So my week was good. I'm currently open to receiving abundant blessings from the universe in the form of cash. And, I would love, some kind of remote job that I can do both places. I have all kinds of clients that I see, but that too goes in spurts, much like the holidays. So yeah, just busy trying to figure out what I do and where I do it and how I do it and all those good things. But it's been a good week. It's been interesting. Welcome, John. I see you are at the gym
Joining
watching
us.
us. Wow, what commitment. Okay.
Man,
What we are
yeah.
a good treadmill show. So if you want to pull your treadmill out, we will make that hour go by like nothing. Anyway, so that's our story. And right now it's time for the good news. And this is our segment where we talk about what's good in the world because it's so easy to find and talk about what isn't good. So,
Yeah.
what do you have, Mr.
I have
William?
I have a cool story. So we often have things about the environment. So this is an environmental one. But apparently in the mountains of Australia, they discovered 90 trees of a particular kind of tree that was thought to be extinct for the last 2 million years.
Mm.
And these trees are from 91 million years ago. And they grow at like a rate of 1 centimeter a year. They're super slow growing. I need some in my backyard instead of the ones that grow there. But anyway, but the fascinating part is these were found in the mountains of Australia in 1994. And they don't talk about them and they don't let anyone go there because they're trying to protect them. And they've been slowly got 2 or 3 other sites where they've done plantings, and then they're also just allowing people to have a seed and do it somewhere else. But the grove of them, they don't even want people going in there because the diseases and everything are dangerous to the trees.
Wow.
So now this whole group of scientists that discovered them is now kind of passing it all along to the next generation because they're all retiring. It's been 30 years. So anyway, I thought it was just fascinating that, we're still finding stuff that we hadn't a clue about. Or we were.
It is fascinating. We think we know everything, right?
Right.
That's funny. Well, my story, it's a very simple story, but I picked it because I think somehow it's related to today. Because I wasn't exactly sure what we would be talking about in this topic, but so this is a story about parents that were afraid to take their new 5-month-old on a flight. They're for her first flight, and they were traveling from New Jersey to Mexico. So it's a relatively long flight, and but on the flight on the way home, there was a woman across the aisle that was knitting or crocheting, and she was crocheting and she was going so fast and crocheting, and their baby was mesmerized, like could not stop watching her and so interested in like the yarn and everything she was using for the project, just kept how fast it was all happening. And the yarn happened to match what the baby was wearing. And so in the hour flight or the portion that the woman noticed the child just fixated on her, she made the baby, she crocheted the baby a hat, and she gave it to her at the end. And the parents, did a whole video thing that went viral. I mean, they didn't mean for it to go viral, but the reason I think, first of all, to me, this story speaks of, because sometimes it's just the simple things.
Yep.
And to me, just the fact that the woman was so connected to the child. And I just feel and believe like somehow there was like this intuitive like connection. and that they were having a thing whether she knew it or not. But I mean, I think the more we connect to other people and really notice, the better the world will be.
And we don't have to do anything radically special. We just do what we do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I think
We're
that's
just
pretty cool.
connecting and showing up. Yeah.
Hey, Davina. We're glad you're here. Thank you. All right.
All right. Well, good to see everybody. So excited that you're here. I'm gonna reveal one thing. Maybe I'll wait till Charles gets here instead of just knowing he's listening in the waiting room. Anyway, so we are gonna reveal that secret right after we get back from this commercial break right here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
It was a treat. It was a bonding. It was a celebration of men. It was a celebration of men who want to deepen in their spiritual awareness of one another, of themselves.
Welcome. We are a brotherhood of spiritually minded and open-hearted positive men. We invite you to join us.
And I came in knowing one person. I left knowing all of the group. And I feel like I came in knowing meeting strangers, but knowing and leaving brothers.
Come experience the New Thought Men's Gathering, Foundations 2024. Friday, March 15th through Sunday, March 17th. With Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Patrick Creelman, Reverend Eamon Duffy, and special guest musician Jamie Lula. In Vernonia, Oregon, at Camp Cedar Ridge. Learn more and register at www.newthoughtmens.community.
Hello, everybody. We are back. I'm Gil,
And I'm Robyn.
and this is Rockin the Love. All right, we're excited today to be with you all. We are talking about finding my groove again today, and we have our special guest, Charles Holt. And it was occurring to me during the break that all roads lead back to the connections we made at Agape.
Sure. Yeah, they do.
And that's where we met some time ago. I'm really excited. We're really excited to have you on the show. And just to let other people know a little background that Charles is actually in town in Albuquerque, where I am, because he's going to be doing a concert and offering a workshop and speaking on Sunday morning. So we're really excited about that. And as you heard from that list of things, he's multi-talented. So, but he has a real desire to bring healing into the world, and we just love to chat today and find out a little bit about your journey and about what relationships are about. That's what we talk about here, and that's where we are. So, how you doing?
I'm well. It's so good to be with you all. Yay!
Yeah.
Rev Gil and Robyn. So it's a joy to be on the show and to have an opportunity to talk about some things and to discuss what this relationship stuff is all about when I talk about the law of attraction. And I don't want to give it all away because some of the things that I'm going to talk about Sunday, I'll repeat, but I'll go into further, I guess, depth on Sunday about some things. But my life is, I think all of our lives have always been about relationships. From the day that we landed on the planet, of course, there was the relationship between our parents, mother and father. And so relationships have guided my life. Excuse me. And some of these relationships have been hard. They've been, the relationship with my father was tumultuous.
Mm-hmm.
He was from a different era. And I always tell people, I came to the planet fully self-expressed. And I knew that at the age of 5. I absolutely knew it. That I had come here to just be this expression of not just love, but freedom. Freedom was one of my superpowers. I was free, and I mentioned in my book that once I arrived here, all of these things like societal codes, cultural codes were just smacked on me, and I was trying to navigate and not try to manage what people were telling me I should be, what I should wear, where I should go, who I should hang out with, where I should go to college, what sports I should play and which ones not to play, what color. It was an overload of information. So all of that was because I had relationship with people and they had their own beliefs. And I came here, there was a part of me that knew who I was. And my life has been peeling back. Some people say peeling back the onion, trying to get back to the core of my being. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm doing right now. Because I'm getting ready to make another big shift in my life.
Isn't that sounds like a great description of what we're all doing?
Yeah.
Whether we know it or not, right?
Whether we know it or not. I tell you, it's sometimes I think I'm conscious of this, but maybe I don't want to be conscious of that. I just want to go through it. But the consciousness, it makes it even more of a delight when you come out on the other side of something. You realize, you stepped into something and that something was guiding you other than luck, other than, what some people call fate. It's just guided by this higher mind, this divine presence that I call God, and holiness, this wholeness that is everywhere present, everywhere.
Yeah, I said at the top of the show that I had kind of a rough week, and one of the things that that came about was our the topic on Sunday was divine uncomfortability. Thinking about that, and in relation to my experience and everything, what I realized was how in all of it, if we really believe that the universe is conspiring for our good, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Even when it's trying to give us a message that, yeah, that doesn't feel good because that's not where you're supposed to be, or whatever, right? But it always is, and that's kind of what I hear you describing. That it's guiding us where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
It is in so many different ways too. So for the past month, I've been in so many different cities. I've been on a book tour.
All right.
And there was a stretch where I was in 4 or 5 different cities in 5 different days. I think four different cities in 5 days. And it was either in an airport, on a stage, in a rental car, or or somewhere in between. And I thought, this is interesting, and this is really taxing. And then something spoke to me. My higher self said, well, you created it. You created this. You're the one that wanted to go on the book tour because your intention was that you wanted to inspire and empower people and create a space for people to be able to give themselves permission to be their greatest, to be their best, because that's what my books are about. That's what my topics are about. That's what I speak about. So, Charles, you created it. And if you created it, you knew the vision for this. And there's always provision with vision. They don't come separate. They're always together. There's always provision with the vision. So yeah, go on through it and get your rest where you can, because you've said it's time for you to move into a larger field, into a larger expanded field. So, hey, this is part of it. So I look at that and I say, well, this is part of the universe telling me whatever you ask for and align with, it shall be done. So when it comes, don't complain. Don't complain, because you asked for it. As a matter of fact, you called this all up. You created it all.
Right?
So
As a matter of fact, you created it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand that when when sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable, but on the other side of that discomfort is a knowing, not just a believing, but it's a knowing. It's a wisdom that comes with that. It's not just knowledge, it's a wisdom, not just a believing, it's a knowing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been coming up for me a lot over the past couple of weeks is I had this realization on a different level that it's all story. It's all story. So if I'm in the airport and I'm tired, it's all story. Like all of it, even the good things, and so it's what we choose to do from that place and with that story and how we move in it, and taking responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're getting a lot of comments out here, so I just want to
Yeah.
read some. Davina said, love when Charles sings, I forgive me, brings tears to my eyes and opens my heart.
Oh, Davina, thank you. Thank you. It's more than a joy for me to open my mouth and allow music to sing through me. And that's what I do. I just surrender, because I surrender to the music, because the music is something that is so powerful. It transports us through time, and it brings us all together. But it does what it does it does what it does one-on-one, and then it does what it does in a community, which is so powerful. So yeah, when I sing "I Forgive Me," I pretty much leave the room after that first line. I'm gone after that one.
Well, but the beautiful thing though is that you take us with you.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, I
that's
mean,
the
that's
invitation.
that's what music does. That's what you do because you're so present
Yeah,
to the divine. It's so
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. Thank you.
Davina also says maybe you can come up there on your tour to Lake Oswego, Oregon. So
Yeah, I'd love to. You should come in. I mean, all you have to do is invite me. Is this Reverend O'Hurley church that she's talking about?
I don't
Davina?
know. I'm not
Oh yeah,
sure.
yeah.
She'll
All you
put
have
it
to
in
do is
there.
invite me. Hey, I can be up there. I can come up there.
Yes. So
All
she says
right.
yes.
See?
So
And he won't even complain. He'll just
I won't complain. I won't complain.
he'll just say, "Oh, I created this."
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, and Rev Shannon. Okay. And John says, I still remember a workshop you gave at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living where I told the story of praying my kittens infected, going blind, eyes healthy, and the whole workshop was so very powerful. Thank you, Charles. You are carrying the truth.
And John, thank you because I remember that. I absolutely remember that. So thank you for bringing that up and recalling that and remembering that. Yeah, and thank you for your support too, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, it's beautiful.
So it struck me while you were telling your story that, I spent the first part of the show complaining about being away from my wife. And and the reason that I am is because I'm exactly where I wanted to be.
Mm.
Because this is my vision. This is where I need to be, right?
Yeah.
I've called it in. Why was I struggling last week? I was feeling overwhelmed by what I'd called in.
Sure.
So thank you. I just want to thank you for, pointing that out for me. Give me another thing to think about this week.
Well, I'm sure some stuff will come up as we continue to talk today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear a little bit about, you as the performer, you as the actor, you as the Broadway star that you are.
Mm.
How, when you're, because I feel like you bring all of this to all of your roles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, I feel like it's you carry such a spirit with you. And is that a conscious thing?
It is. I don't have to think too much about it. The one thing that I knew when I started performing is that I get lit up really easily. And so all I had to do was find the place where I could allow the fire to burn.
Mm-hmm.
And that place for me is on a stage with a microphone. And it can just be, it can be one person there, or it can be thousands. When I touch whatever that platform is, because I made a vow to my career and I made a promise to whatever stage that I was on that I would not leave the stage without being ashes. That meant that everything that I have when I step on there, I'm going to give it. And I won't leave anything on there. That's the promise that I made, because I said, this is the place where I get the most joy. And I'm going to give back to that place every time I get an opportunity. So coming here, as I mentioned before, coming to the planet free, I found that there was so many opportunities for me to find how to find that impulse for even greater. And I call that my imagination. My imagination is my superpower. So even before I get on the stage, I imagine that there are going to be angels everywhere. As soon as I open my mouth, there will be ancestral genius and ancestral beings everywhere there. And that the people's lives will never be the same because mine won't. My music comes to me first, then it comes through me. As it comes to me, the invitation is to Charles, allow me to sing you. Now, this didn't happen. I did not have this in my mind or in my consciousness before I came to Agape. I wouldn't have been able to articulate it. Ricky Byers was so important in my ability in giving language to that, to the way that I feel when I get on stage, when the microphone, I can hold it, we can be right in front of me, and I just take a holy breath, and that holy breath says to this divine presence, I'm ready. Sing me, sing me. But I've always had it, and I didn't know it because I was competing when I was here in New York on Broadway. I was competing for a job. In the church, I grew up in the church. In the church, you're always trying to get people to applaud, and you want people to say, "Child, whoo, you sung that song." You're always trying to get people to affirm you and validate you. So you can do all kinds of things. And I used to do tricks. I can still do tricks with my voice. I can do the runs and the pauses and the long notes and all that stuff. But when I got to Agape, something happened where in the middle of service, an 11 o'clock service, I started a song, a third too high. And of course, as a Broadway actor, you never stop songs. Once that train starts, you just go all the way through and you find that note that you need to hit, even if it's way up there. You try and find it. In the middle of the song, Ricky stopped and she said, Charles, let's take it down a third. And my mind went crazy. My mind, that ego went crazy. You never do that. What are you doing? No, keep going, keep going. And then there was that other voice that cut through that chatter and said, yes, that's it. That's it. And so what it taught me to allow myself to be used. Don't try to push through and control everything. Leave it alone. If you say that I release and I let go, I let the spirit run my life, let it run its life. Let it run your life, Charles. And it took a while for me to get to that because I was taught, you take the bull by the horns. As an ex-football player, you take the bull by the horns and you ride it until it comes into submission or the horns fall off. So those types of things were big learning curves for me. And I learned them at Agape with Ricky Byers and Dr. Michael Beckwith. I learned that part of me and it just spoke clearly to me. So I understood there was a reason why I went to Los Angeles to sit under that ministry, because when I got to LA, I had stopped going to church. And I found that's exactly where I was supposed to be when I got there. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so many of us have found our way through and to New Thought and Agape and all of that from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting about what you said, I'm a performer as well, an actress, and so I totally get that. And yet, what the people I admire most are the ones that I've seen be willing to make a mistake up there or to fail.
Yeah.
I remember Gil and I were at a Shania Twain concert, and she started the song, and it wasn't going great. And she was like, "Okay, let's just stop. Let's start over." And I did the same thing. I mean, my whole body was like, I was like, "Oh my God," I was panicked for her, and but she just, then she took off with it. And it's like those times and those moments I've had on stage where I make a mistake and keep going, and but
Yes,
in that
that's
way
right.
that it's just,
Mhm.
that's wild. That's wild.
Mhm.
John is asking, Charles, did you feel you had to release and then you'd take control? You'd release and take control. I keep having to release over and over. Will you speak to this, please?
Yeah, it happens because we shift and we become there are larger fields that we move into, and there's a higher volume of expectation, so to speak, that we have. And so in that, when we elevate, I don't want to use that word. What is the word I want to use? It'll come to me. But when we move to another level of understanding and consciousness, there's a whole different field of things that are coming to us that we still have to navigate. And so as we shift and change, we're remembering. I had to remember, oh, Charles, I'm now doing it with the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. I've never worked with an orchestra before, so this is something different. And then, of course, during that process of learning, you hear the voice, you hear that higher self, that voice that is right from the divine, right from spirit, say, let it go, let it go. Don't try to make it something that it's not. Allow it to use you and be organic with it, Charles. So yes, it continues because the impulse to control is, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I surely do. I want to control, if I could control it, like, yeah, let me have it. Even I tell God sometimes, God, look, I'll let you have 99.9%. But if you let me have that one to equal your 99 and God said, excuse me, I want it all. I had to learn. I used to bargain with God like that. God, 90% is yours, 10% is mine. So okay, just go ahead. You try to do that 10% by you, Charles, by your way, Charles. And at the end of the day, I say, okay, I'm just going to release my agenda to God because I said I trust. I said I'm willing. I said that. What does that mean to me now? So as I grow, up level is the word that I wanted to use. As we up level, that whatever it is that we moved into, there's a whole different field. So we have to learn how to manage and negotiate and navigate our levels of control. And all we have to do is just surrender to it. That's all we have to do. But even in the surrendering, I found that every now and then it's just like, hey, you want to control this, let it go and take responsibility, not control.
Mm-hmm. Which is very different.
Very,
Well,
very different.
All we have to do is surrender.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
No. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other way I've seen that described or heard that described is kind of that being on the spiral as you're moving, as you're up leveling, and you kind of come back and tick the same gate again because the same button, the same whatever it is, shows up on this new plane that you're on in a slightly different way.
Yes,
like
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way.
Keep looking at it. Letting it go. I think that's why we sang "I Release and I Let Go" like every week at Agape, didn't we?
Yeah, because we're different every time we come in there. We're not the same. We're not the same when we leave as when we came. Surely not. And so during the course of a week, if I've applied these types of themes and these topics and these principles, then when I go in to service next week, I'm going to be very different. And then as course would have it, after the service, I'm going to be even more different. So we're always moving. We're always going to move higher.
Yeah. John says, got it. That's very helpful.
And
Myrna says, responsibility versus control. Oh boy.
That's a big difference. You know, my mother she'll be 95 in May, and she's probably my greatest classroom right now. You know, in terms of masters, I call my parents when my father was here. I was in his class called listening. My father was an exquisite listener. I mean, exquisite. And then he also taught me. He used to always tell me when I was growing up, son, it's not what you get, it's what you take care of. So I understand now that whatever I get, if it's material, if it's a friend, that responsibility is up to me on how I want, I want it to unfold, and it's, taking care of it is a good thing. But my mother is teaching me compassion because she is changing so much. She's moving further into dementia. And so she first started asking me the same question 2 or 3 times, I would say, "Didn't I just say that, Mom?" And then my higher self would say, "Wait a minute, wait. She's changing. You're changing too, because it's change with her. Go along with her. You don't have to correct her. She's in her own field. She's in her own little world.
Yeah.
But you love her. And so that which comes out of you is love for you, love for your mama. Because she's changing, she's shifting, she's transitioning, she's transforming, and so are you." So she's just teaching me so much, because she'll ask me the same question. She'll ask me the question, and then 30 seconds later, she'll ask the question again. And this time I'll say, "Yes, ma'am, that's right. That's right." And she'll laugh. And then she'll say, "When you get to be my age, you won't remember anything." You won't remember anything either.
Which is actually a great insight, right?
It is, because I
Mm.
understand that she's been here 95 years and she's done something right. She's done something to preserve herself, because she loves her children. She loves her children. And I'm the baby. And she says, "He's my baby." And so, I let myself be a baby. Yeah, that's what gives her the greatest joy. And I want my mother. I love my mama. I do. I sure do.
Well, I'm glad you brought her up. Today is actually my mom's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And well, she made her transition in like 2001, right, Robyn? Yeah. But she was much younger than your mom. But she was in that same dementia process. And so I just relate to all that. And it's a learning experience for how do I show up in love and not get caught up in my story about how this should go.
Yeah, that's right.
And why aggravate the heck out of someone that doesn't even realize what they're doing?
They don't.
Right? So,
well, both of Gil's parents actually suffered with the Alzheimer's dementia, and I think what I learned through that journey was it's such. I mean, it's such a complicated thing, but it's such a beautiful invitation to be invited into their world.
Oh, yeah.
And I know John out there just dealt with that with his mom, who recently transitioned. And it's just, I mean, if you can be there and not try to control it, not try to fix it, not try to fix them, not try to, any of those things, and really just go along for the journey, there's so much that we learn in there. And then there's that, I think you experienced, it sounded like in what you said, there's those moments where they invite you in and let you know, I'm fully here, baby. I'm just choosing to be somewhere else, know. But just when you think they don't know, or they're not, they'll turn around and say something that you go, "Oh my God, are you back? You know, and it's like, nope, that
Yeah.
was a momentary thing. So I think
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful, beautiful invitation.
That's a great way to put it, Robyn. It's a great invitation.
Yeah.
And that's what life is. I mean, all of these lessons have they I was going over something and I heard Spirit say, I'm not here to beat it over your head. I'm not here to make you do anything. That's your choice. I'm just telling you that if you stay in New York past your time, you're going to go through intervals of misery. And that's exactly what has happened. And so I'm moving out of New York. So it's that in itself is something. It's another whole nother journey of trusting. A whole nother journey of trusting because I have a vision for what I want to do and it's strong. And so the provision has already been made. But my natural mind, my surface mind wants to control and to try and get me to play the same as I've been playing. It's like, no, you can't do that anymore. Not with what you know you've come to demonstrate here during this time.
So I want you to
true.
share with us a little bit about the Open Frames project, but I also want to share with you what Myrna just said. She said, I love your testimony about your mom. Just today, I got this affirmation. I am ready to let go of control and to open the door to love, knowing that I am guided towards peace.
How beautiful. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, happy journey, Myrna. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And once you say yes, there's no turning back. There's no turning back. You can look back, but you can't go back. You don't want to go back.
And Myrna, you might know that applies to a lot of things. So I know she's got a lot going on in her life.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just
all
fine.
Right. So talk to us about the Open Frames project. How did you start that, and what was your passion behind that?
So, as I mentioned, my father and I had a really rough relationship growing up. My father grew up in the South, and somewhere in there, I think we all understand that there's still prejudices when it comes to skin tone, hue, the texture of hair. It's, in the Black community, they used to rave about curly, straight, pretty, manageable hair. My father didn't have that. My father had what my mother would call a nice grade of hair, but it wasn't straight. It wasn't like my mother's. My mother is a quarter Cherokee, so she had features like the Native Americans, and my father was dark. So he had a whole different type of growing up, if you will. I came to the planet fully self-expressed, jumping up and down, tactile, talkative, and it just did not go well with my dad. My father used to say, little boys don't go around touching people. They don't talk all the time. You run your mouth too much. You need to sit down. And it hurt my feelings. And so I thought my father ruled the world when I was 5 years old. And that continued, that thought of him being this great person who I wanted to emulate. All of that was good and fine until I got of a certain age. And I think it was when I was 8 that I decided something's wrong with me, because my father says I talk too much. I touch people. I shouldn't touch people. I shouldn't cry and show my emotions. And so I shut that down. I loved sports, so I don't think this had anything to do with it other than the fact I thought sports would help me gain my father's validation and affirmation, and it didn't. But I was a great athlete. I was a star athlete, and I went to college on a football scholarship. By the time I left home to go to college, I had just wiped my hands of my relationship with my dad. It's not going to work. Nothing is going to work out. So I was wounded. It was painful. It was something. I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to negotiate it. And so I hid behind sports in my accolades, and I hid behind academics because I was an outstanding student as well. So I went to college on a football scholarship, and um, long story short, I started working for IBM right out of college. I hated corporate America. I left IBM, went to another company. They fired me, and just started singing in these jazz clubs on weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, to wash the week off. My grandmother was a self-taught pianist, and I used to stay with Granny. So I had a lot of songs in my in my stable of music, in my music college.
Repertoire.
And so my father loved B.B. King and Ray Charles. My mother loved Aretha Franklin and Al Green. And my brother and sister were a decade older than me. So I heard everything from Fleetwood Mac to Earth, Wind, and Fire to the Jackson 5. I had it all. So I started singing these songs. And this guy walked up to me and said, "Have you ever thought about doing musical theater?" Just out of the blue. I said, "Man, I'm a football player. We don't do musical theater." And I said, "What is it?" Because it intrigued me, the way he said it, and with all of his confidence. And so I tried out for a show. I Ought to Be in Pictures. It wasn't a musical. It was a Neil Simon comedy. And I got cast as Herbert Tucker, the lead. Wouldn't pay for a week's worth of groceries, but there was something there that held me in place until I could really figure out that this was something that I needed to do this. I needed to do it. I moved to New York with $400 in my pocket. And a month later, I got the national tour, Jesus Christ Superstar, with Ted Neely and Carl Anderson.
Wow.
I understudied Carl Anderson as Judas. I played Simon. And that just shifted. It just shifted everything. So I had a fairy tale beginning to my artistic life as a performer. A month after Jesus Christ Superstar, I was the only one out of 600 to get the role in Smokey Joe's Cafe, which was the longest running musical review in Broadway history. I did that for a year and 13 months. That was the first national tour. Then I went to Japan the last month. We did Japan, Okinawa for a week, Fukuoka for a week, Tokyo for 2 weeks. And so I came back and I got this show called Souls, and I played Marvin Gaye. And it was great. It didn't go to Broadway, but it was off Broadway, and it was being, they were trying it out. Well, in the meantime, I get cast to go to Europe to play the first Black Rocky in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Then I come back and I get Lion King. This is October of 1999. And my life is just unfolding in a way that I cannot describe. That I'm on this ride. And I said, I came to New York in 96, and 3 years later, I'm on Broadway in the biggest, the baddest show on Great Broadway right now. Lion King was the thing. It was here. And I spent 4 years and 10 months in the Lion King. It changed my life. And it wasn't until after, maybe right before I got ready to leave the Lion King, that what it was to my soul, what it meant to my life, I started getting. And then I just took that and I moved to Los Angeles. And that, with all that I had grown up with, had kind of placed me right in this community called Agape, where all of this stuff could just mix together. And I could find more of who I was and why I came to the planet. It was just a setup. It was a divine setup. So after my father passed in 2013, I started writing, and I wrote a book because I needed to get all of these thoughts out of my head. In the last four years of my father's life, we got it right. My father told me he loved me, but I called and forgave my father in 1997. And what I tell people, I said, there has to be someone to initiate this great invitation, Robyn. Someone has to initiate the invitation. They said, well, what if the person still denies you? And that I said, but the invitation is not for them. The invitation is for you. It's like forgiveness. If you go and tell somebody, I forgive you, and they say, I haven't done anything, so don't come to me with that. It's not, forgiveness is not for you. Forgiveness is self-forgiveness. All of it is.
Yeah.
You release.
Yep.
You let that go. But that's what my father taught me. And before my father passed, he said, son, we got it right. He said, we finally got it right. He said, I want you to go out there and teach those kids who may not even know who their fathers are. They may be in a situation where they feel like they're just hanging on to a string of hope. He said, and you tell them it's going to be all right, but teach them how to navigate and manage those tough relationships. Teach them, because they need you. Yeah. And that's my father's charge. And so I created the Open Frames Project in honor of my father, because my father was a genius. He was genius. And he said, and I'll be traveling with you everywhere you go.
Oh,
so I'm leaving.
Beautiful.
I'm leaving. And so, yeah, the Open Frames Project, it gives me so much joy to, and it's not just for young men, it's for anybody. It's for young girls, because I teach them too. You know, it's all of this journey is about relationships. From the time that we step onto the planet until the time we leave. And some of them are harder to navigate than others, much more hurtful, but you learn how to do that. And just perhaps if that relationship splits and you go your separate ways, you bless it. And then you go back and say, I learned how to navigate it, so I'm better, and I hope they're better for it as well. But
Charles, thank you so much. We are at the end of our time.
Okay.
It was so quick. You're gonna have to come back. It was amazing. But yes, and I just want to thank you so much for being here. And remind anybody out there that is in New Mexico that you can go to the concert. You did have a question, Gil, about if it will be live streamed.
The concert won't be live streamed, but Sunday will be. So at 11:30 Mountain Daylight Time, we will be online at RGCSL YouTube channel and Facebook, or you can go to our website and click a link.
And you can go to Charles's website and find his books and stuff there. And if you're sad that you're going to miss his concert, I just say invite him to your workshop. I mean, invite him to your church, and you'll get the concert, the workshop, the talk. So make sure
the whole
you do
package.
that. And many comments out there saying they love your journey and thank you. And I didn't even reveal. I know we're late, Michael Mangus, but I didn't reveal my secret. I just have to tell you that the minute Gil put up your promos on social media, within 5 minutes, I got a call asking if you were single and available and what your story is. So the audience is watching, Charles. You still got it going on.
In case you're interested in adding more
Yeah.
relationships.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Michael Mangas, for being the angel of New Thought Media that has floated around and helped other people with their shows throughout the week. And thank you all for your donations and your love and keeping this going, because it's important. It's important work that we're all doing. So
Yes.
our invitation to you is to keep on rocking the love, you all week long. And we'll see you right here next week on New Thought Media
Bye.
Network.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.